the difference compared with last year?
Today is February 21st, 2011. It's the American President's Day, and we're in front of the McKinley High School, in front of the statue actually. And we're here because American President's Day is a day when Americans honor their presidents, and we're here to call attention to the fact that there is a school named after President McKinley, and a statue that was dedicated to him 100 years ago on Wednesday, February 23rd, 100 years ago. So we're here because we want people to know, and we want our ancestors to know that we didn't forget. In the statue's hand is a document called the Treaty of Annexation, and there was no Treaty of Annexation. My understanding was, having read some of the documents and talked with other historians, is that back in 1908 or so, funds were collected, and the primary funder, if not the only funder, was Sanford Dole. Yeah, this statue was dedicated 100 years ago. And it's for us an opportune moment to actually bring some history out that is incorrect and provide some truth. So what we have here are all of the signs that we've made thus far of the people, the names of the people who signed the Ku'e Petition protesting annexation of Hawaii to the United States. There were 2 petitions that were going around in 1897. One petition was against the annexation of Hawaii to the U.S. and one was in support of the royalty. So we don't have the second petition. We have the first one that protests annexation of Hawaii to the United States, and that one has some almost 21,000 signatures on it. And so they've been collected in a book. Right now we have about approximately 1,800 names that are in our database, and those names have been written one by one on individual signs that are laid out on the grounds. The names are facing the statue for a reason, in a way to let President McKinley know that, as a matter of fact, all of these people who signed those petitions contributed to the fact that there was no Treaty of Annexation, that it didn't pass in the U.S. Congress. But somehow history was rewritten, and what we were taught as children, and what most people are taught, not just kids, but what history reflects is that, as a matter of fact, Hawaii was annexed to the United States, and even though there was no Treaty of Annexation, it was via another document called a Joint Resolution of Congress, which has really nothing to do with Hawaii, which was an independent country at the time. You know, the idea being, if you can annex Hawaii, an independent country, then you could annex Japan or any other place, which of course is not possible. So we remind ourselves and others that somebody said something, and jointly all of those messages made sense and worked. So we're here today to honor them, because somehow they got lost in the shuffle, you might say, and their words, their signatures, their names became lost in history. So our primary reason for being here today is to remind people that, as a matter of fact, they were here, they did say this thing, and their words, their statement made a difference. That's why we're here today.
Do you want to say something to your people?
My ancestors?
The Hawaiian nation people?
Well, in the signatures are names of people who are not all of Hawaiian blood. We have people who are Chinese, people who are Japanese, people who are Filipino, and Haole. Lenny Haole signed as well. And I found that really interesting as I was going through the names myself, because it told me that not only was Hawaii, or the Hawaiian Kingdom, an independent kingdom, but it functioned like any other nation or country in that it was not limited to ethnicity. And we like to remind people of that, because there have been pushes recently to get Hawaii to be recognized as a tribal kind of a race of people who can be recognized by the United States, as if we were all ethnically the same. And I feel it's really sad, because those who have the ability, the power, the funding actually to tell truth don't. And the reason for that is quite obvious. There is something to be gained by not telling the truth. But it's kind of like how it's always been. And I think one of the reasons that I'm feeling happy today is that when people show up, what they're saying is that the truth needs to be told. And they came here to help see that that is happening. Truth. So no more of the lies. And we want to help people who don't know our history, who don't understand our history. We want to help them to know that there's another version that's the correct version. And even though we are called revisionists, the reality is we happen to have the document to support what we say, and they don't. So it's really important too.
Renee, what will be the next step for the movement?
The next step. Well, it's really interesting because it changes from day to day. But what I'm seeing happening is all eyes are not on the movement. Actually, all eyes, or most of the eyes, are on the United States. What is happening globally in other countries like Egypt? What is happening in states of the Union where the people are being run over, are not cared for? I mean, you can only do that for so long before people actually rise up. And hopefully we won't have to have an uprising because the U.S. will collapse of its own weight. Its inability to govern as a noble country, its inability to listen. And they should be listening because they would have learned from all these other countries that went down the road because it could not govern well. So maybe the way out of our dilemma is to recognize that at some point the U.S. simply cannot deal with any of it, and they'll just let us go because we're a liability. But then that's good too, because then it's nonviolent, and we really want to have an opportunity to be who we are instead of who other people think we ought to be.
How about the Akaka Bill is power, right? Finish.
Akaka Bill is finished for this year. However, the state of Hawaii has since picked up this idea that they ought to recognize the nation of Hawaii as as an entity, like a tribal entity. So it's the same thing as the Akaka Bill, but at the state level, which is really kind of ridiculous. So the state of Hawaii has absolutely nothing to offer because the state of Hawaii cannot legally exist. It's a legal fiction. So right now we're just kind of waiting for things to calm down, and I think it's a really good thing, by the way, that we can actually have these dialogues. And the more it comes up, the more people are forced to be involved and forced to talk and forced to understand history in a different way.
Renee, how can we recruit more young people come to join us?
The idea of recruiting others to the cause has been around for a long time. I'm not even sure how we recruit it. The best I can say is that the Hawaiian-based charter schools, the ones that teach both Hawaiian and English, but also focus on a correct history, is the best thing that's happened to all of us, because by the time they get to where I am, I teach at the college level, they already know. They haven't been misled, so they have truth before they come to us, and I think that is absolutely essential because they're not buying anybody else's lies. So I guess it's how countries get their people to become loyal citizens is they give them the information when they're children and they all grow up with it and everybody's sort of like in agreement. Right now, people are not in agreement. So there are two strands of understandings going on at the same time, but we can prove ours. And so the rest is just, U.S., it's just bullshit. Plenty.
Okay, good job.
Okay, good. You should talk to Baron. I just say that because he's kind of like on the other end. Sometimes it's hard for people who are not of Hawaiian blood to figure out how they fit in. So, who's in and who's out is interesting. In a tribal model, blood, you're in. But in our model, everybody's in, unless they want out. Okay.